Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today we'll be breaking down the third and final day of the NFL draft. But before we get started, I just wanted to mention that you can follow me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY. Also, thank you to Ryan and Jets Talk 24/7 for setting up the live stream. It was a ton of work. We were on there for 17 and a half hours, roughly, over the last 3 days. So, a ton of work was put into it, but couldn't have done it without him. And thank you to you guys who tuned in as well. So you can call in to my podcast, which airs every Monday. So call in ASAP, ask me your draft recap questions. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be answering any of the questions that were asked leading up to the draft. So if you had anything that was, time sensitive, it's not going to come up. But if you want me to recap or get your thoughts in on the overall process, I'm all for it. Let's get after it. So day 3 started with a running back. The Jets picked up LaMichael Perrine out of Florida. He's 5'11", 216, and boy does he hit the hole hard. He just gets in there and jams it through, kind of like what Bilal Powell does. He kind of reminds me of a bigger version and a younger version of Bilal Powell. So the New York Jets don't have anyone on the roster right now, really, that's worthwhile outside of Le'Veon Bell. Ty Montgomery sitting in free agency, Bilal Powell, old reliable, sitting in free agency. So the Jets went with a younger version in Perrine, who played at SEC school, had some success. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, which is something that I look for in running back these days. I think this is someone who projects as a second running back. I don't know if he'll ever be a starting running back, but I think he's someone who can be a nice spell back to Le'Veon Bell this year. He could also play on special teams, which is a great sign, and he's a extremely high character guy. Something that we're going to see today with the Jets' first 5 picks, spoiler alert, starting with Perrine, they drafted 5 captains in a row. And this guy works hard on and off the field. That was one of the biggest pros for this guy. Joe Douglas wants to build a culture, and he got off started on the right foot. The second pick in the 4th round was my least favorite pick of this entire draft, and that was James Morgan, quarterback out of FIU. He's 6'4", 230, and this is a developmental quarterback, and I just don't think this is a good fit for the New York Jets. I would have rather them sign a Matt Moore on free agency who's not going to make a whole ton of money, and a veteran who could come in and back up Sam Darnold. I don't think drafting someone in the 4th round who still has a lot of developing to do is really what this team needs. For instance, if Sam Darnold does, God forbid, get hurt, would you rather turn the keys over to a 4th round quarterback who played at an extremely small school and that is raw with a big arm but very little accuracy and bad footwork? Or would you rather turn it over to Matt Moore, who has had success in small sample sizes in the NFL with the Dolphins and the Chiefs? That's up to you. Personally, I would have went Curtis Weaver in that spot. He ended up falling even further than the 4th round, but nonetheless, this feels a little bit like an Adam Gase pick. I could be wrong. This could be something Joe Douglas really wants, but this seems to me, this screams Adam Gase. It was completely against all the other things that they went for in this entire draft class, addressing needs, but I probably like this pick the least. The Jets salvaged the 4th round, drafting Cameron Clark, an offensive tackle who's probably going to be more of a guard at the next level, and he's out of Charlotte, and he's a big boy. 6'4", 308. He's a 2-year captain, 3-year starter. He could play inside and out, so versatility is there. This is a depth piece. You're not going to expect him to come in and start from day one, but he is going to provide depth at both guard and tackle, can play multiple positions, which is a great sign. He flashed against Clemson, and boy, is he physical. That's what I like about this pick. He does not shy away from pancakes. He doesn't shy away from getting after defenders. And in a big moment against a much better team in Clemson, he played arguably his best game. That I absolutely love. I think this was a great pick. In the 5th round, Bryce Hall was still sitting there, cornerback out of Virginia, and they went for him. He's a big press corner at 6'1". He's a converted wide receiver who's a ball hawk. I like that. I think that's going to be a fit in Greg Williams' defense. He likes those big physical corners, and that's exactly what Hall is. 50-50 balls are usually tilted in his favor because of his size. He isn't the perfect prospect. I don't think he's going to come in here and be starter. Maybe next year he could be someone who could look at to start, but he's probably 4th or 5th on the depth chart, which is completely fine. I think finding him in the 5th round is fantastic. This is someone who I had going in the 3rd round, and he was there for you in the 5th. This is great. Again, a really solid pickup here. Joe Douglas did something really good, which was getting value later than guys were supposed to be there. And this was the prime example of that. I really, really like this pick. To the 6th round we go, and a new punter is in the building, Braden Mann. He's out of Texas A&M, and oh my God, does this guy have a leg. I didn't really want to go punter or kicker in the 6th round, but I could understand this logic. Lachlan Edwards isn't on the roster. He isn't coming back, especially after you drafted this guy in the 6th round. He has an absolute bomb of a leg. Over 50% of his punts in college went over 50 yards or more. He is someone who, maybe if you want to bring up a flag, is someone who outkicks his coverage sometimes, but the leg is huge. He can do kickoffs as well. No, he's not a place kicker, but he is a punter who can do kickoffs with a booming leg. He could also tackle too. He used to play linebacker, and he had 10 open field tackles, 7 of which came last year. I'm starting to get bought into this. I was not a big fan of going punter initially, but this guy seems legit. I'm not saying he's going to be. But NFL.com, there was an article on there that said he has the potential to be a top 5 punter in the league. That leg, though, is something you can't teach. And I'm about as excited as you can be for a punter. The Jets had one more pick 211, and they decided to trade it to the Colts for cornerback Quincy Wilson. Wilson was a 2nd-round pick in 2017. He was okay his rookie year, decent in year 2, which was probably his best year, and then was really bad last year with injuries holding him back. He couldn't really break through there with the Indianapolis Colts, and they decided to move on. So you take a 6th-round flyer on a former 2nd-round pick. If he could stay healthy, again, this is just a depth move. He's probably, 5th, 6th on the depth chart. You're just looking to add depth to a position of need, which is corner. The main positions that I cared about on the defensive side of the ball were edge and corner. They took an edge rusher in Jabari Zuniga in day 2, and they took a ton of cornerbacks. 5th rounder in Bryce Hall. You trade your 6th rounder for one. And post-draft, I have this news as well. They signed an undrafted free agent, Lamar Jackson. No, not that Lamar Jackson, the cornerback out of Nebraska. He is another big, tall, lanky guy, which is exactly the kind of profile the New York Jets, specifically Joe Douglas and Greg Williams, are looking for. So overall, I thought it was a pretty good day 3. Joe Douglas, I think, did a really, really good job. You're going to have to tune in on Monday's podcast. I'm going to be giving out my grade for the New York Jets in this draft, but I thought overall, really outside of the quarterback pick, Joe Douglas had himself a very, very good weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate all the support over draft weekend. We hope you stick around, as there's going to be more Jets coverage now outside of the draft. I thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Matt O'Leary. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you next time.